All right. So I think we're ready, man. Let's go ahead and get started here. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. I am your host, Sinteck. Very special guest today, my big homie, Victor Bond, vbond. How you doing today, bud?
I'm great, my friend. Good to see your face.
All right, man. Always a pleasure when our paths cross. How's everything?
Everything is fantastic, which I'm going to tell you about in just a few minutes.
All right. Pretty good news. So we like to try and keep our discussions here at a relatively low pace to keep the listener's ear. So let's go ahead and get right to it, man. This is a no-nonsense channel.
Yep.
So Victor, Vic, VMAX, vbond, for those of you in the Discord, give us a little background about who you are and what your relation is to Racket NX, man, if you don't mind.
No, I don't mind at all. I'll tell you quickly. I've been in the tech world for a long time, many years in IBM, working on all kinds of things regarding the web as it was becoming big when it did become big, just like the metaverse is about to become big. I went out and went around the world with my own company, helping companies and organizations manage change, do things differently. That's one of the reasons I'm involved in this whole environment. And about, I don't know, almost 8 years ago now, I decided that there was an opportunity to take existing virtual reality games and the right ones, make them sports, real sports, even to the level of Olympic sports. Make a long story short, we were able to do that, and we were able to do it with a little old game called Racket NX. Racket NX. I got involved in 2019, have been working with the guys and at one point gal in Tel Aviv for all that time. And our focus has been to try to figure out how to connect this game with the world of sport that we really know as sport, so that we could ride the infrastructure and the energies that they already have to promote their sports in the world. We want to have that same promotion, which, by the way, video games, VR games have never had before. That's another way that we are new. Because of all of this, one of the things we realized is that we were going to be speaking to a much, much, much bigger audience. Because of that, we went to the mattresses to think about what we needed to do to repackage this whole thing. And we came up, among other things, with a name, the one you see in front of you right now. Not just Racket NX, we expanded the NX into Racket Next. We did that for two reasons. People don't know what NX stands for. They know what next means. Two, it goes to the heart of our whole strategy, which is, in fact, not just to be the next computer game, not just to be the next VR game, but literally to be the next big racket sport in the world. That's why I'm here, and that's why I'm working with fabulous people like Sinteck and others, and that's why Racket Next is going to be the biggest sport in the metaverse. Does that help you?
It's a pretty heavy claim there, man.
Hey, I'm here for heavy.
All right, like it. So you mentioned a key name there, the World Virtual Games, right? WVG.
Yep.
So for some of the reoccurring players, you may be familiar with the name, the acronym. So what I want to get into, Vic, is I want to get into a little bit of WVG just for the listeners. We want to bring everybody up to speed here. So we had a round of WVG. It was fun. Everybody played their hearts out. We had the hybrid tournament, right? And then we had the solo bracket play. Really good, brought a lot of attraction to the game. I know our head count increased a little bit, maybe a lot of it. And after we had the bracket play, I know that you traveled out to Birmingham and some exciting things happened in Birmingham. I think you ran across an unfortunate bug that kept you under the weather for a little bit. So I don't think we were able to get updates out, but I'm going to give you the opportunity now to excite all of the listeners. So to start off, why don't you give us a little bit of background on what exactly is WVG and what your involvement is with?
Absolutely, glad to do it. By the way, I got the big bug. I avoided it for 2 years and then it came and sat on my head and took my brain away for about 60 days. I'm telling you.
Thankfully, you got better from that, man. I know that was a bad one for you.
Oh my goodness. All I got to say is wear a mask. That's all I got to say. But, in the midst of all that, we produced a ton of information, which, by the way, everything I talk about today is going to be discussed at some level on our website, racketnext.com.
Right. And when I publish this video, I'll put any links out in the description and I'll share it with everybody. Whatever you want, we'll get it out there.
Fantastic. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
The World Virtual Games is a core brand that we have decided to create in the world of sport. It's not just a tournament, it is a brand, a way of thinking about competition in the world of the metaverse that has not been done before. One of the reasons that we conceived the World Virtual Games is because we know there are many other games out there that call themselves sport. Whether they be keyboard sports or controller sports with people's thumbs, from our standpoint, they can call themselves sport. They have a right to use those words, but we are in the business of being real athletic sport that can be picked up by real athletic sports organizations in the real world for the foreseeable future. In order to do that, we needed a vehicle that we could marry what we wanted to do with competition with what they're doing with competition so that we can ride that wave. I mentioned, just to give you a quick example, to Sinteck earlier, and I'm going to mention to you now, that the US Open of World Racquetball is being played right now in Minneapolis. And you know what else they're doing at that, the biggest tournament for them of the year? They're promoting us. They're promoting Racket Next. And one of the reasons they're promoting Racket Next is because they know they are going to have an entry in the World Virtual Games at some point. They are interested in having a series of World Virtual Games going forward. By the way, you mentioned Birmingham as well. I was just down in Birmingham at the World Games, which is an alternative to the Olympic Games. There's a bunch of games that are in the Olympics. There's a bunch of games that aren't in the Olympics. Every other year, the World Games has those other sports and has a huge tournament someplace in the world. This year, it was in Birmingham, Alabama. And this year, for the first time ever, they invited us to come and participate because we were a sport. We got the chance to interact with thousands of people over 10 days. And oh, by the way, in the description of this video, there's a link there. Go down and click on it. It's the Racket Next Rocket. That is taken in part from our experience in Birmingham, and you'll see one of the craziest players ever demonstrating what hundreds and hundreds of people did down there. We had a fantastic time. But the key is this: at the same time, we were running the inaugural World Virtual Games tournament, which was a hybrid tournament, both solo play as a preliminary round, and then player versus player from the top 16 players of the solo round. We did that for two reasons. One, we wanted to give hundreds and hundreds of people the chance to participate in this from the beginning, even if they were brand new, like some of you are right now. But also, we wanted to give a chance for the best players in the world, of whom one is Sinteck, right in front of you, to have the chance to play at the highest possible level. We had both of those things happen, and they happened concurrently with the World Games. This is an example, the prime example of why the World Games is so valuable to us. It gives us a way to go out into the world and generate promotion and marketing for this game like we've never had before. Does that help you a little bit, Sinteck?
Yeah, it definitely helps me. The question is, does it help everybody listening? And I'm pretty sure you knocked that one out of the park, but
Well, we have to ask them. We have to ask them. Now, I'm going to tell you, I know one of the things you want to know is where do we stand with the WVG right now? And I'm going to say a little bit more about that. But in order to make sense out of that, I'm going to give you a few more slides, ladies and gentlemen, that will give you some insight into how big this strategy really is. There's the WVG. Now I'm going to show you a chart which describes our strategy. There's a few words on that chart, but there's only one meaning. And that one meaning is this. We are about to enter a phenomenon that is going to be bigger than the internet. It's called the metaverse. All of you have heard about it because Facebook changed their name to Meta. It's been one of the top 10 hot words in the world this year, the metaverse. We are going to be bigger in that metaverse than soccer is today in the conventional world. Why? First, because there are millions more racket sports players in the world than there are soccer players. Didn't know that, did you? There are millions more. There are almost as many badminton players in the world as there are soccer players. Didn't know that either. That's why you came here, to learn stuff. That's why when Sinteck said you got to teach them something new. So here you go. Here's
jumping
something.
the heat on them, man.
Here's something you didn't know. There's more racket sports players in the world. And I'll tell you something else. There are not going to be all those sports in the metaverse. And I'll help give you some insight as to why. Hold on a second. There we go. We call this the metaverse sport membrane. Don't try to read over on the right-hand side. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about the words. Just listen to me and look at that picture. That thing you see in the middle is like a cell. It's like a cell membrane. And as you know, a cell membrane lets certain things in and it keeps certain things out. That's what the membrane is for. That's why it exists. The metaverse, to give you a simple statement, is going to keep most conventional sports out. Why? Two reasons. Most conventional sports take a ton of room to play. It might be soccer, it might be basketball, it might be tennis, but it takes a ton of room to play those sports. You can't put that room inside somebody's living room when they put on a VR headset to play a virtual sport. You can't do it. Oh, by the way, you can have soccer in the metaverse. The problem is you need to have a playing area that's as big as a soccer field to do it. Not going to happen. This is what's happening. Because of that, games like us, and there aren't very many of those, are the ones that will get through that membrane to be part of sport in the metaverse. That's the point of this whole chart. And as a result, all of the racket sports that exist right now, all of them have to reinvent themselves to function inside the metaverse. All of them. We are that reinvention. It's us. Now, let me tell you something. A lot of people don't even know this yet. They think, well, I'm going to have tennis in the metaverse. No, they're not. No, they're not. They don't know it yet, but they're going to find out. And they're going to find out not from us necessarily, but from just stuff that happens. But we're going to be there waiting. So when people in the metaverse want to play racket sport, we're going to be there waiting for them. Am I making sense so far, Sinteck?
I like it. I like it, buddy. I like it.
That's the whole idea. Look at this. Look at this. All that stuff on the left-hand side of that chart, that's the stuff you need to play conventional racket sport. It costs a lot of time. It costs a lot of travel. It costs a lot of money. Look at what it's going to be like in the metaverse. Hello. Look at the space. 2
Pretty
meters.
simple.
What?
Pretty simple.
Pretty simple. That's it. 2 meters and $400 and some electricity. And that's it. That's all you need, period. And you don't need anything more. You can get some more stuff if you want, but you don't have to get all that stuff. Guess which way the world is going, ladies and gentlemen. Look at the left and then look at the right. And then look at this. We have, I'm not going to tell you all why and how, but we have created an environment within this incredible game, Racket Next, that actually enables tennis players to have a Racket Next game that reflects the fundamental actions of tennis. The same thing with badminton, the same thing with racquetball, the same thing with squash. I'm not going to take you through it now, but it's brilliant. And many of you, especially if you're new, don't know about the level editor, which enables us to go in and redesign the dome in any design we want. Well, we did that and came up with designs that reflect the main conventional racket sports. That's why racquetball, the International Racquetball Federation, endorsed us last year, and this year made us a full official discipline of the IRF, the International Racquetball Federation. This has never happened ever before in any sport whatsoever. Ha, you think that's a big deal? Let me tell you something bigger. They did that, and you know what else happened? Squash. The World Squash Federation came to us and said, whoa, we want to do this too. We want in. And I'm telling you right now, this doesn't normally happen, because if racquetball has a game, that's their game, squash wants a different game because they want their own thing. You know how that goes. You know why they came to us? They came to us because they looked around and they realized Racket Next is it. It is the thing. There is nothing else. And they decided, and the International Racquetball Federation agreed that they would come in together. Both of them now have endorsed us as their virtual sport. Unbelievable, unprecedented. Why? Because all of these sports have a fundamental compulsion. One thing, they want to hit something, at something, with something. This is the most common athletic activity on the face of the earth by far. And we, right now, and for a long time to come, maybe forever, are the dominant game, hitting something, at something, with something. That's why down at the World Games, we were able to have performances like the kind you're going to see when you click in the description down below and watch the Racket Next Rocket. Just watch it. Watch that woman. By the way, that woman, you're going to see her play. She's 6 feet tall. She's a volleyball player. She is beyond belief as an athlete. She had never played racket sports before. She didn't play tennis. She didn't play any of them. Watch her play. Watch what she does. 6 feet tall, going at it, from Germany, by the way. Her name is Louise. Louise, watch Louise, see what she does. This is why we were the stars of the show down in Birmingham. So back again, full circle to the World Virtual Games. Our intention is to create effectively a brand franchise of World Virtual Games being played by racquetball, being played by tennis, being played by volleyball, and being sponsored by all kinds of organizations around the world. So, critical point, the World Virtual Games is not just one tournament. It is a brand. It is a competition brand that we are taking off into the world. And you're going to hear from us as soon as we can. This quarter, the third or fourth quarter, you're going to hear from us because we are developing an infrastructure to make it as easy as possible for you to participate in tournaments and to sponsor your own tournaments and run your own tournaments. We learned a lot when we did the World Virtual Games down in Birmingham, and one of the things we learned is that we need an infrastructure. The solo tournament went fantastic. The PvP, person versus person tournament, didn't go as great because we needed more organization. It worked though, and the best players were at the top, the way it should be, including my good friend here. Because of all of that, we consider that a tremendous success for what it was. But we need to do better and we need to do more. And that's why I'm here running around and running my mouth. Should I shut up now, Sinteck?
No, you're doing a great job, man. You're doing a great job. You're grabbing everybody's attention. I like it. One thing you did mention, though, that I will add on to, like you said, I did take part in the bracket play. And the organization, for the players who were out there, the organization was a little on the lower side to start, but I do want to add that that is expected, is that one of the things Victor's working on is that this is a process, and it's going to take some time to iron out the procedures and the steps going forward. For those of you who played in the first round, the hybrid tournament, solo versus bracket play, one of the things that you may have noticed is that things were kind of scattered around between email, word of mouth, while Victor tries to figure out some of the best procedures. So definitely don't get discouraged. Don't get upset. There's hopefully one of the questions we're going to get into next. There's more to come. And as serving as a pretty good segue into that will be our next question, Vic, is tell us a little bit about where we are today. Can we expect to see another tournament soon? What's the deal there?
Absolutely. Now, it depends on what you call soon. We already know, because we have been asked by the International Racquetball Federation to put together a tournament series in concert with International Racquetball starting first quarter of 2023. They want to do one major tournament a quarter leading up to a world championship in the fourth quarter. However, before that, we are going to be running tournaments internally involving all of you and running them in a fashion which we hope, we intend, will be very easy for you to interact with, very easy for you to play with, and very easy for you to participate in, whether you're in the solo side or the player versus player side. Our goal is to make this such that we can have tournaments filling every month. Now, when will we be in a position to do that? We're working on our website right now, because the website is going to be a key point, which is one of the reasons you need to go to racketnext.com and have a look. It's not ready for this yet, but we're getting it ready for this. We don't want to have an environment in which you want to run a tournament and you don't know how to do it. We want you to know how to do it. We don't want to have an environment in which we have a tournament and you don't know how to sign up. We want to make it simple and easy for you to know where to go and what to do. So we don't know yet. I can't make any promises because we want to get this as right as we can. It's kind of like getting an update of a game. We will know when we know, and we'll let you know as soon as we know. Does that help you, Sinteck?
It does. It definitely does. And you've been great about getting updates out, so I don't have any doubt that you'll get it out as soon as possible. Leading into that, though, what can players expect for, say, competition level, right? Do you guys have a system in place that's going to keep top players in a different bracket than medium players? Is it going to adjust by skill level, or is this just kind of an open where everybody just kind of goes in there and whoever's the best goes?
Yeah, this is a very, very good point. Our objective, and also working with Juan Hamza, is certainly on the player versus player side to create an environment in which people have the chance to play with people who are in their own skill band. Or if they want to go outside of that, they can make the decision to go outside of that. That's our goal. I cannot promise anything on that yet, but we definitely want to do it. In a similar and related vein, solo play is going to be an increasingly big part of what we do. In solo play, there are no issues, obviously, about being matched, because you are just trying to get post the best possible time. However, within that, and we already have done that. We did it last May with our first lineup of results, which you can find on racketnext.com. We are grouping people in categories, and go to racketnext.com, click on competition, and you'll see the categories that we have created. We want to have people have an environment in which, even if they're not the top player, they can see what category they're in and see how competitive they are. That's important. You need to have a basis upon which to feel you're making progress. And we can do that already with solo play, and we've created the environment to do it. Like I said, go to competition on racketnext.com. On the PvP side, we've got some work to do, but we want to get exactly to where you described, Sinteck. We need to do that.
Yeah, that's very important too. There's a lot of players in this game who are in that new to intermediate level, and there's been a lot of chatter in the Discord about breaking out competition based on skill set. So it's important that you address that, and I think you did a pretty good job.
Thank you.
All right, so we covered a lot of ground on the WVG. I guess what we'll do is, if you want, we can kind of open it up and go roundtable in case we missed anything, or if you want to touch on any bonus topics. I'll turn it over to you for any additional chat.
Sure. You just, give me the high sign regarding time. I'm sensitive to your clock. But
we're good so far. We got about 10 to 15 more minutes before we get cut off here, so you're good.
Fantastic. Okay, I got a question, and I haven't gotten the answer because I've never really posed this to you directly. But you, Sinteck, you are a very successful person. You're a very engaging person. You're involved with the world. You're not 17, but yet you are deeply involved in this computer game, this VR sport. I am fascinated to know why someone like you, with your credentials, your background, your abilities, is so deeply involved and engaged with, and I will call it that name, Racket Next.
It's a fair question. I actually get asked that a lot too. So
yeah.
I come prepared with answers. Actually, to be honest, any video game that I've played throughout my illustrious video game career has always been at a high level. So for me, any game I pick up tends to work out this way. I came over from League of Legends, and then I was playing Halo for a little while. And every game I played, I tend to kind of get up to that top tier. So for me, when I picked up Racket, I was at a point in my life where I was just looking for something that I could put on my head and hit something, add something with something, right? This game kind of fit that description because I was at a point where I kind of had some other commitments and responsibilities, and I couldn't invest the time in a game like Diablo or League of Legends that time requires. So Racket fit that bill, and I guess over the course of probably about 5 or 6 months of continuous ass whippings from my rookie days, I kind of learned the game a little bit and started growing and reaching out to the community. I found the Discord, and I started learning optimal gameplay and started doing a little bit of math. And, one thing led to another, and before you know it, it just started getting very competitive for me. And I'm a creature of habit as well. So I just kind of fit into that bill of, if I'm doing something and it works, I stick with it. So I certainly didn't set out to play Racket specifically. I think one of the reasons I bought it was that it was on sale at the time I first got my Quest. So again, everything just kind of happened randomly. And, fast forward to today, and it just so happens that I'm still here.
Let me ask you a quick follow-up question. The other games you talk about, League of Legends, Halo, they're not athletic games. They're not athletic, they're not sports. But this is completely. How big, what are the factors involved with your switching over to this? Had you done any other athletic sports before, Beat Saber or whatever?
Not in the VR world, and certainly not competitively. One of the things that sticks out from the physical aspect is when you're good at a game that's physical in VR, your results tend to be more consistent.
Yep.
All right. I can swing my arm the same way consistently every day of my life. I can't always press buttons faster than the other guy every day of my life, right? Or I can't always counter like my opponent's move or something like that. So that was one of the benefits this game offered, is consistency, right? If you look at some of the better players in this game, you'll notice that they tend to be pretty consistent and get better at being consistent over time. And that's one of the advantages this game offers, is it allows you to be consistent because it involves physical motion of moving your arm, right? And only I control that. The guy or girl on the other end of the screen doesn't. So I would say that that's the benefit that I find anyway in a game like Racket NX.
And let me come back with you on that. That's one of the reasons that these sports federations loved what we brought to the game, because when they think about sport, they want to provide an environment in which people, however hard they work, can have consistent performance, consistent improvement. If they work harder, they're going to do better. They didn't want to be in an environment in which, frankly, the innards of an electronic device determined more how things went than the effort of the individual athlete. They love that about Racket Next, and what you're saying totally supports that.
Yeah, it definitely is a standout feature in this game versus even other VR games. Like if you're playing a zombie shooter, or if you're playing Population 1, which is the Fortnite equivalent on the Quest 2. Those games tend to rely heavily on who's on the other end. And Racket NX does in a way as well, but you have a lot of control over your own destiny in this game based on your accuracy and consistency, more so, I would say, in other games. And aside from all that, it's a game that offers a lot of satisfaction and validation. So as you get better at the game, your shots become more accurate, and the game offers a really intuitive and really smooth pinball kind of visual where as the ball is kind of gliding along the wall, you hear these sounds and these points being collected, and it's kind of bouncing off bumpers, right? And it's very satisfying knowing that you hit that shot, and while the ball rolls on the wall, you just see it kind of representing yourself, and it's really satisfying when you start getting better at it, for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you.
No problem, man. I appreciate the questions. We've got about 5 minutes to kill here. We do not have to use it all. I think we did a pretty good job of discussing the WVG. Give me, just in case you didn't touch on it, give me a quick overview. How exactly did things go in Birmingham? Anything that you want to add?
Yes, absolutely. Our objective in going to Birmingham was threefold. One, we wanted to be able to conduct the WVG event concurrent with the World Games, and we were able to do that. They were very, very impressed there with what we did. There were two other federations that were involved. They had nothing like this to even talk about. So that was fantastic. And by the way, in terms of numbers of people involved, there were about 1,200 people who participated in that monthly challenge, because we made that monthly challenge the World Virtual Games.
Right. Yeah, it was right in the game too. Yeah, real smooth. Yeah.
That's right. By the way, that set that we played in that monthly challenge was designed by moi and supported by one of the great devs in Tel Aviv, Kfir, and that set is, in fact, what we call Racquetball Next. It's the next level.
Shout out to Kfir too. That set was done really well.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. We got a lot of nice comments on that, and we're very, very pleased. So that was goal number one. Goal number two was to demonstrate this to as many people as we could. And we had almost 1,000 people. If I hadn't come down with COVID, we would have had 1,000 people go through demos. And when you see this wonderful player down below in the Racket Next Rocket video, when you see that, we had that going on at our space, which you will see there, for 10 days solid. It was tremendous. And it was a competition for us, because we wanted to do better than the other federations. One,
Right.
which is the Archery Federation, and the other, which is the Softball Baseball Federation. I'm going to be careful with my language here, but I must say we kicked butt.
Yeah, that's good enough right there. We won't get no copyright infringement here.
All right.
That's pretty good right there.
That's right. Third objective was to demonstrate to the IRF, the Racquetball Federation, how real this sport is. They understood conceptually. They had seen videos. Some of them had even played, but they had never seen it in an environment with dozens and hundreds of people coming up just, out of the blue. I want to try this, and going into it, and oh my goodness, we got so many great performances. We will never put out all the videos that we captured of what people did. That whole event was one of the reasons that we now have a tournament series in progress, not in progress, but in process with the IRF right now, because they were so impressed. That's also one of the reasons why at the International Racquetball Federation US Open right now in Minneapolis, as I mentioned, they are promoting Racket Next. They're doing it right now. That came out of Birmingham. So long story short, we knocked it all out of the park.
And that's always good to hear, man. Sounds like things are pretty successful out there. So
yeah, I'm
definitely
glad.
good to hear that. We covered some pretty good topics there.
Yeah.
Let's get some closing statements in here. So if I'm a player and I want to know more about WVG, or if I want to keep up to date with the latest news, where do I go? What do I do?
Sure, good point. I'll tell you right now where you go, and then soon there's going to be another place to go. Right now, 2 locations. One, go to the Racket Next website, click on competition. It's not posted yet. Give us about a week to have something in that page, and you'll be able to see kind of where we stand.
A week from today?
What?
A week from today?
Yeah, about a week, about.
Okay.
The other place is on the Discord server. When we have news, we will put it in the WVG channel.
Yeah, there's for the Discorders out there, there's actually a channel in the Racket NX Discord called World Virtual Games. And Victor's been really good about putting information in there and tagging the alerts whenever he feels necessary. So that's the one he's talking about there.
Exactly. Thank you.
All right. So rapid fire, man. I'm new to the game. I just saw this video. I want to know if there's ever going to be any kind of prize money for first place, second place, third place in any competition tier. How does that work?
Yeah, there will be prize money. There will be awards. We don't know when and we don't know what, but
Okay.
we absolutely are motivated to do that. One of the reasons we're motivated to do that is because our partners are motivated to do that. One of the reasons that the International Racquetball Federation is promoting Racket Next now is in part because they see an opportunity to generate income. Some of that income is going to flow to our players.
Great news. Yeah, I know there was a lot of concern about the first month of the WVG kind of being just like bragging rights or just a trophy, a digital trophy or something like that. So it's pretty good news to hear that there'll be some recognition going forward, which is always.
There will be. I can't say when and I can't say what, but I can say we will.
I know in the past you've discussed I think you called it like a Players Hall of Fame for some kind of public recognition throughout the game. Tell us a little bit about that.
The Players Hall of Fame, or the Hall of Fame, the Racket Next Hall of Fame, is going to include those who, by the consideration of us, rate recognition from all of us. And that includes not only people who do a great job in competition, but also those who contribute to the growth of our community. Lots of things can contribute to that aren't directly tied to competition. And in fact, the most important element of that is communication. The most powerful ways that we can find to communicate to new groups of people about this game is what we want to do. Let me give you kind of an example. I'm not going to mention a person, but I'll give you an example of the kind of thing, the kind of thinking. We believe that we can be the VR sport for many, many entities around the world. Other sports organizations, social organizations. I had a woman in Birmingham who wants to have a Racket Next League in her church.
Church league.
True story. And then a few weeks ago, when I was recovering from COVID, I got a bug in my ear about a tremendous community out there that is, let's just say, compatible with our community. And that's the community of people that love the novel Dune. Dune. For those of you who don't know, the head of One Hamza, Asaf Ronen, his nickname is Usul. Usul. And for those of you who know Dune, you immediately know what that means. For those of you who don't, that is the nickname of the major protagonist in that incredible novel. Dune is a big deal these days because they just had a huge movie last year by Denis Villeneuve. He is doing the second edition of the Dune movie, which will be out third, fourth quarter, 2023. There is a ton of buzz around Dune. We have actually done a Racket Next video around Dune. And the question is, well, you know, when you read Dune, there's nothing mentioned in there about sport. No sport. Hundreds of planets, thousands of planets, nothing mentioned about sport. And so we asked the question, what if Dune had a sport? What would it be? Well, you know what I think it would be. And so we did a video. Now this video, we haven't really seriously published it. It's on the web. It's had a few views, just people who've picked it up. Interesting comment in there. Hope you read the comment. But what we'll do is we'll put the link to the Dune video down below in the information for the video as well. Have a look at it. That'll give you a flavor of the way we're going to be putting this game back out into the world again. And people who can help us do stuff like that are people we want to honor just as much as we do the top players of the game. Does that help?
That helps, man. That's an awesome Victor description, as usual. One last thing. I'm a new player, and I'm not sure how to go about signing up. What do I do? Where do I go? Do I even need to sign up? Will it cost money? Walk me through that.
Sure. You mean sign up for a tournament?
I'm sorry, just for the WVG brand, right? Yeah.
Sure. We are working through the logistics of signing up now. I'll give you an example of what we're working through. The International Racquetball Federation wants to sign you up. It wants you to be a member of their federation. We are now working through a plan which well could include combining a sign up with WVG with also being part of the International Racquetball Federation, which has its own separate value. There will be membership, no doubt about it, going forward, but there will be many activities and many competitions that won't require membership, but will encourage membership. One of the reasons we encourage membership is largely because we want to be able to stay in touch with you. One of the challenges that we have in staying in touch with our own players is that so many of our games are not sold by One Hamza. So we don't have people's names, emails, connection points. They're sold by Steam or by Meta. And so we don't have that information. We want to be able to communicate with you. Just to give you an idea, we have around 400,000 players in the world who have this game. There are only about 1,000 people on the Discord server right now. We need to reach out farther than that. And so we're going to be doing things to bring people in, and we don't want to be charging at people for everything. That's not the point, but we want to engender membership. At some point, yes, there will be costs, and for some tournaments, there will be costs because there are costs associated with running tournaments. But we're going to keep those costs as low as we possibly can, and I'll tell you frankly why. We're not interested in generating a ton of money through memberships. Our goal, frankly, is to generate money through sponsorships, through advertisers out in the big wide world, through partners who want to be part of this growing community that we are creating. So the most important thing is to get more people in our house. The more people we have in our house, the more we can leverage income from the outside world, and the more we can provide you, the player, with more benefits, more activities, and more, frankly, recognition. Does that help?
You knocked it out of the park, man. You are one hit Victor for sure, man. You live up to the name, no doubt, buddy. That was an excellent description. If you didn't know what WVG was when you started watching this video, you damn sure know what it is now. I think that's all the time we need today, Victor. As always, man, it's always a pleasure when our past.
Hold on, before you go, let me show you 3 quick more things, okay? Have we got a couple minutes?
Yeah, you got a couple minutes. Go ahead.
You talk about, now you know WVG, you know a little bit about me, but I wanted you to know something else. This is on the website, on the About page of the website. Don't worry about reading all that. All I want you to know is that I've written a bunch of books, blah, blah, blah. But the one I wrote that's most important for us is Olympic Virtual Sport. There's one book in the world on Olympic Virtual Sport written by moi. It's on Amazon. It's $10. And go and have a look. I'd love to have your feedback about it. It's a Kindle book, meaning that it's got both text and lots of images, videos, the whole 9 yards. Have a look at it.
We get some links in this video's description too. If you send them over to, I'll get some links up for you.
I will do just that. Thank you very much.
Yeah, definitely.
Next, I'm going to read something for you very quickly because this chart is one of the charts of which I'm most proud. This chart shows the endorsement and the sanctioning of the International Racquetball Federation and the World Squash Federation. And I just want to read to you what this says. Never before has a virtual reality game or any electronic game been officially endorsed as a full discipline of a World Sport Federation. It has now happened twice. Further, one of those federations, the International Racquetball Federation, has fully and officially sanctioned Racket Next as a sport. Doesn't exist anyplace else in the world except right here with us. That second endorsing federation, World Squash, endorsed us, did so with the full knowledge that we had already been so honored by the Racquetball Federation. Why did they do this? Their CEO, William Louis-Marie, said, our decision to endorse this same game was made possible by the simple fact that, in our opinion, Racket Next is the superior virtual racket sport game in the world. You, whoever you are in the Racket Next community, should be duly proud. No one else in the world has these distinctions. And no one else in the world has the chance to completely redefine the future of sport in the world. Because sport in the metaverse, ladies and gentlemen, is going sooner than you realize to be the most important sports environment in the world. Not just to watch sport, but to play sport. So thank you all. It's been a pleasure being with you, Sinteck. You're a great host, and props to you for putting together such a professional, beautiful podcast. It does you proud, I hope, and it certainly does this great game proud. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, sir, for those kind words. I very much appreciate it. We do our best over here. We try our best.
Well, you do your best, and you deserve the credit.
I appreciate it, man. With that, I think we're all set here, Vic. Let's go ahead and wrap it up, bud, unless you have anything else you want to add.
No, I'm good. I'm afraid I may keep everybody here all night.
All right. So as always, guys, thanks for tuning in. Big thanks to you, Vic, for dropping all this knowledge on everybody.
Oh, just one other quick thing. One quick thing.
Oh, you do have one more thing. Okay.
Yeah. When you go to the website, we got a shop now. Go in there, click on shop, and there's a number of ways you get to it. But we have a store, and we have a store for people to buy the Quest and to buy various accessories for the Quest. And if people is watching this, you haven't gotten the game yet, go there and buy the game.
We'll get some links in the description as well for that. Well, a lot of links we got to post out here, man. So make sure you guys scroll through the description and check them out.
Absolutely. Okay, now I'm done.
All right, Vic. Well, listen, buddy, stay healthy out there, and we'll look for more updates for you in the Discord server.
Fantastic. And thank you so much, Sinteck.
All right, big homie. Peace.
Yeah, peace.